Hello, dear soul. My name is Kate Harmony, and welcome to the Lightbearer's Library. In today's journal entry, I want to talk specifically to INFPs, which is a personality type in the Myers-Briggs system. Now, this could also be useful to you if you're dealing with some mental health challenges, and you may not know your personality type, and that's okay. This will be helpful to you as well. But for INFPs, we can kind of get into mental funks a little bit. We can get, all sorts of things, whether it's anxiety, depression, you name it. And I feel like when we get into these states, our spaces around us start to reflect our mental state. So they kind of deteriorate in terms of organization and cleanliness. This is because, if you know anything about the personality type and the Jungian functions, the cognitive functions, we have sort of inferior extroverted thinking, which is the function that we use to keep things organized and efficient and tidy, So when we're not feeling our best, that kind of drops off the face of the planet, and we can just kind of almost have blinders on to these our surroundings, and also because we have SI, which is introverted sensing, we can kind of get comfortable. We can stay comfortable in the mess as it deteriorates. It can maybe not bother us as much as it would bother someone else of a different type. So when we get in these loops of feeling not mentally well, our spaces can reflect that. So I think that we can use it to our benefit to try and reverse that, by reverse our get to a mental well-being by cleaning up our space. So trying to do the opposite. And I know that this can be quite overwhelming, because depending on the state of your mental well-being and the state of how you're living and where you're living, you can actually then start to look around and look at, every corner or every space in it, and it starts to feel like absolutely everything needs to be cleaned and tidied and organized and laundry washed and whatever, and then it's just like, okay, I can't deal with it, and you just like hide. I know. I've been there, and I know that sense of overwhelm and just feeling alone in it, and just feeling like this is ridiculous. People, other people can deal with, messy houses, but it just feels like a total overwhelm. So I think the thing is to try our best to be our own cheerleader. This can be hard. If you do have someone in your life that you can call to just say, hey, could you come over and sit on the couch while I clean my fridge, or while I, sort out my closet and reorganize it. Sometimes it's just nice to have company, not even for them to help you, but just to be there and be a sense of like cheerleader, and you can have a conversation, and it kind of get done without, much thinking about how. Because then we can start to be like, oh, I'm so shitty. Like, I let my life deteriorate, and look at how messy it is. Like, blah, 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 right? All the spinning of the thoughts, not helpful. So it can be helpful to have someone come over and just hang out with you while you do said chores. If you can't, then kind of got to figure out a way of pumping ourselves up. And I would suggest putting on your favorite pump up music, that was maybe reminds you of a really great time in your life when you were feeling mentally really well, and put that on and just kind of feel into that emotional state that you were in, and go, okay, I can do this. I always say, like, I can, I will, and I am. I can, I will, and I am. And then I do that thing, and just start with one thing for the day, like, I'm going to clean the kitchen sink today. One thing, not like I'm going to do this and this and this, because we will exhaust our TE, that extroverted thinking, organizing side of ourselves. And it's like, we're going to end up in a negative mental space if we try and do too much and then fail to do that. It will be not good. So just do one thing and just check that off the list. And it's like, okay, I did that one thing. And then like, praise yourself. Give yourself kudos for doing that one thing, and then I sometimes even like to start with the hardest thing. This is not like, there are multiple ways of tackling this, right? It's kind of like, if you've heard of debt snowballs, like, there's different ways of dealing with your debt, right? It's like, you can tackle the biggest one first, or you can tackle the smallest one first, so you can get rid of that credit card debt or whatever. It's kind of like that. You can maybe ease in with some, like, a couple of smaller tasks, like taking out your garbage or something like that. Maybe that's not a small task. I don't know, but whatever that is for you, that feels really simple to kind of get yourself started. I find that there's those tasks, those cleaning things that just have been on the list for a while, and they just really maybe kind of gross you out. And it's like, it's always kind of niggling every day. Oh, I should. And once I tackle that thing, I feel like such a massive release of energy, because it's no longer going round and round in my head, and it's done. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's so wonderful. And I'm so grateful I did that for myself. But regardless of what task you tackle, just praise yourself, because that's part of the spiraling upwards in our mental health. I like to see it as a spiraling upwards. So every little thing that we can do to help clean up our space will help us to feel better about ourselves and to lift ourselves up. So I would encourage you, if you're feeling mentally unwell, to just pick something today. And, I always like to write it down and then cross it off. That's our inferior TE, like, loves having a list and then crossing that off. So, because I think we can feel bad about ourselves. We're, whatever the thoughts are for you. Mine are like, oh, I'm lazy, I can't do anything, and da 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 da. Shh. So then we start spiraling upwards, and we start looking after our spaces, looking after our clothes and hanging them up and keeping things tidy and organized. And I feel like if we can just start to look after our own little lives, then we can start to breathe a bit easier and start to create more routines in our life. Then start to, it's like these gradual increments that go up and up. So I'm cheering you on. If there's something that you would love to be held accountable to doing, sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes it causes too much pressure and stress. But let me know in the comments if there's something I can cheer you on with, or if this, just sometimes it feels nice to not feel alone in it. And sometimes it's hard to talk to others who don't get it. Like, my mom is an ESTJ, and her dominant function is TE, extroverted thinking. She is like, go, 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 do all the tasks and chores and organizing and cleaning and everything's, it's like, can make me feel really like she just doesn't get why it's sometimes very hard to, just clean the fridge or whatever. So, yeah, let me know. I can cheer you on. If this was helpful to you, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the Lightbearers Library, where we can, cheer one another on in really spiraling upwards. We have so much to offer the world, and those around us, and we can be such wonderful cheerleaders for others when we are doing mentally well. And that's what I'd love to see for us INFPs in the world, is to be super well in our own selves and in our own lives, and then be able to help others. Okay, well, I'm sending you many, many blessings. Signing off for today, XOXO, Kate.